The three greatest gifts you can give yourself and those you serve as a leader is to be aware, present, and centered. I want to talk about these three today. Many of you may know I have a spiritual podcast. If you don't, you should check it out. It's called Higher Density Living. Alexander McKagan and I go over a lot of spiritual aspects. We have some fun on the podcast too. We talk about aliens and we talk about gurus, those people that think that they're better than everybody else. And, think that you have to go to them and spend tens of thousands of dollars. We get into that. We get into a lot of different things. Different spiritual practices, meditation, yoga, all of that. So if you like that kind of stuff, some of you will be like, no, I'm not into any of that. Well, that's fine. But if you do, I encourage you to subscribe to that on Spotify, Apple. We're on everywhere, Stitcher, everything. And you can just type in Higher Density Living Podcasts in Google, and it'll take you right there. So I want to talk about, and I'm not talking about this in a woo-woo way. I'm talking about this we can do it in a logical way. There may be some spiritual aspects, and whatever spiritual principles you follow, whatever spiritual practice you follow, whether it's Judaism, Christianity, if you're a Muslim, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. These three things are just plain out the way to be able to lead. Aware, present, and centered. Like being aware, present, and centered, who would not want that if they're having a conversation with you? For you to be aware of the situation, for you to be totally present when they're talking to you and listening, and then for you to be centered, not emotionally based. Everyone would want that. All your relationships would be that way too, right? Imagine if you're aware, present, and centered in your relationships. Imagine for yourself, first and foremost, for yourself, if you're aware, present, and centered. And this is something that we're constantly working on. We talk about self-awareness all the time. So let's get into aware. Awareness to me is me understanding myself, my true self, and then my ego. Now, in Christianity, they call it the sin nature, that ego part, that monkey mind, the one that, the reptilian mind, the monkey mind, whatever you want to call it, that part of you that wants things now, the part of you that wants to do the pleasure, that is attracted to the pain, that wants things in a shortcut, that doesn't want to be disciplined, seeking comfort, all of those things. And in the Bible, Paul, the Apostle Paul, he talks about this as missing the mark. He talks about sin in the Greek as missing the mark, like an arrow hitting a target. And, to be physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, financially, you want to be at a 10, but you're missing that mark. And so for me, it's awareness is this key to, I need to be aware of it. Where is my ego sneaking in? Where is this sin nature, sneaking in and causing me to feel, or if you're Buddhist, the suffering. Where is the suffering coming in that I'm believing in? I'm believing in this false reality that my ego, what it's telling me, that critic is real. It's also, when you look at awareness in the sense of you understanding you. And this is huge, and this is something I've been working on. It is, and I've been telling you guys this, my affirmation is, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. Oh, that's the ego. That's not real. It's just a quick affirmation that you can do to allow yourself to be aware of what's going on. Self-awareness is so huge. You will have a leg up on everybody else. And I'm not saying this in like a competitive way. I'm just saying, if you're a self-aware leader, you will be successful. You're going to be prosperous. And we can even get woo-woo. You're going to manifest things. So awareness, that's awareness. Now, present. This is hard for us because our society has given us so many slot machines and levers that we can pull and coins that come out. And I always picture a senior citizen sitting at a slot machine, smoking a cigarette for hours and hours and hours. I always picture myself like that in my ego state, just pulling this lever to try to get a coin. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try. And then it hits, and ding, ding, ding. And I get all these flashy lights and all this gold and glitter and loud noise. And then next thing you know, I'm back at it again. And no. We know it's evolutionary psychology because it's the same process of you hunting for berries and then getting berries and then being excited. Or if you're hunting and then you stalk the animal, and then finally you kill it and there's this huge dopamine release. It's the same thing. Whether it's a slot machine, whether it's you on Instagram, swiping. I have to stop myself doing that because I need to be present. What does present look like? Well, one is telling myself to be present, having awareness enough, like, oh, I'm not present right now. I'm fixing to have a crucial conversation. And I encourage you guys to get that book. Look that book up. That'll change your life. It's called Crucial Conversations. You can get it for like $5 on eBay used with free shipping. Or you can go on Amazon and get it for like $15 or $12 or whatever. Kindle's probably cheaper. Crucial Conversations. That's a gold one. That'll help you tremendously. But I want to be present when I'm having this crucial conversation with this person. So how do I be present? Well, it's a matter of taking the time, and this is the third one, to center yourself. Give yourself time between meetings. Give yourself 5 minutes to relax, whatever that process is. What is the process? For you to close your eyes, for you to listen to a song or two. I usually try to do that if I'm going to have an important meeting. I want to put some feel-good music on. I'll light some incense. I like the smell of incense, so I have an incense burner. I'll light that. I want to have, taste, touch, smell. I want to have all those things. I'll make sure my coffee's good and ready to go, or my water bottle. I'll make sure, and then I've used the restroom. I'll make sure everything's all good to go, and I'm centering myself, getting present, becoming aware of what's going to happen. Because the most important thing you can do is help another human being. Service to others. That's what we're called to do. Servant leadership is where it's at. We are powerful beings as leaders. We are powerful beings, and we influence. That's what leadership is influence. We influence others. And if we're aware, present, and centered, guess what's going to happen in that conversation? I believe my higher self will talk to that other person's higher self, and we can eliminate a lot of the ego. We can eliminate a lot of the garbage. Now, if they don't respond well and they get in their ego, I don't need to combat that with my ego. Well, F you, I'm the boss, and this is how it's going to go, and I don't care what you said right now. And I don't need to do all that. I don't need to get emotional at all. In fact, I'm going to coach and ask questions and see where they're at and let them go through that process and then bring them back to being centered, bring them back to being present, bring them back to be aware of what we're talking about. And maybe it's a positive conversation. I try to do this. And when I don't, I know, like the other day, last week, I failed in doing this. I went back-to-back meetings, didn't take the time to do my little practice, and guess what happened? I got in my ego. I got a little upset. Not bad. No one probably really noticed it, but I noticed it. And I was not operating optimally. I was not centered, definitely wasn't present, and definitely wasn't aware. It was all monkey mind, defense, victim mode, all of that junk. So I encourage you guys, when you become aware, present, and centered, everything comes together. And it's funny because here's one of the things that I really, really notice is we don't make the conscious decision to put ourselves first when we lead. And this could be another podcast, and I've probably done a couple of them on this. But you have to do you first. So taking 5 minutes and having a practice, telling somebody, hey, boss, can I have a conversation with you? Yeah, give me about 5-10 minutes and then come back in. Give me 15 minutes, come back in. Be more than happy to set the time aside. Make time for yourself. It's so important. You can rearrange your schedule to go to the gym. You can rearrange your schedule to take a walk at lunchtime. You can rearrange your schedule to take a day off. There's a lot of things that you can do to put yourself first. And if you would look at what makes me attend spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally, financially, and then filter your calendar, filter those things. You're like, well, I don't have the time to do that. Yes, you do. You're not putting yourself first. You're putting others first, and you're using fear and scarcity to run your calendar. And that's definitely not being aware, centered, or present, right? So I'm encouraging, look and see exactly where you can, as a leader, decide in and of yourself what practice can I do? What are things that I can do to do me first, and then to make sure that I'm aware, present, and centered?
Thank you for joining us on the Albuquerque Business Podcast. And thanks to our sponsor, rigbydigital.com. Make sure to subscribe and share. And go to abqpodcast.com. Get show notes, resources, and links to everything we talked about today to help you navigate your journey as an entrepreneur and business owner.